we're going to work on taking our airbox, our throttle assembly, and everything off. And so one thing that's an important tool is using a camera to collect proof of where things were at. So if you look here, I'm going to go ahead and snap a couple of pictures, and I can always go back later and zoom in and try and figure out, you know, oh, I want to get a close-up here, there, so on. So I'm going to shoot a couple of different photos here just to get an idea. What I'm looking for is these springs. Okay, I want to see where everything's attached. If you guys will look on this side, do you see how there's multiple holes for that spring to be in?
Yeah.
Yep. So on assembly, if you don't know, look at these two. Is there a chance you could accidentally put that top rod in the bottom and the bottom in the top?
Yeah.
Now, is there a guarantee that the way you guys are going to take yours apart that they're even in the right spot?
No.
No. So my thought is this just a really quick and easy way to do something like this? Okay. Something like this. Now, here's another thing you can do to try and make life easy. So, would you guys agree that this rod mounts on two different sides?
Yes.
Okay, and it's shaped differently. If you look at this one from the top, you could see it goes down and in, right here.
Yeah.
And if you look here, it's sideways in. So one thing you could do to just make life a little bit easier is take and paint on the rod itself, okay, and paint on the part it goes into. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, two things happen. Number one, actually, let's be more intentional about this. What if I just went right here? Make sense?
Yeah.
So that's a way to make things faster. Now, you guys, though, you got to know, you're going to use the service manual, and you're going to 100% verify that you're putting it back correctly, but this is just a nice way to get a start, okay? All right, I'm going to move my air filter out of this. It's already pop free. Be real careful not to scratch it. I do want to talk about this. Actually, there's a piece of dirt in here, so this is perfect. Anytime you check an air filter, we're going to check its condition. We're going to look, see if there's any holes, like hold it up to the light or anything. Can you see in the camera how you can actually see the light through there? Okay, so why don't you guys answer here?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So you're going to see if you see any light through here. When these get really dirty, you won't be able to. So we do want to be able to see through that. We're going to look for tears or anything else. The other thing that we have here is this seal right here. That's the only job this air filter has of making sure dirt doesn't bypass the installation side of it. We want air to go through here, all the dirt to be caught, and then give the engine clean air, right? One thing I really like to do is I like to take a real light film of grease and put it around rubber seals upon installation to help give it that one more chance of sealing good. Dirt bikes, it's mandatory. That's where I learned it from, was the dirt bike industry. I do that even on small engines. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So the other thing we got going on here is we've got 3 fasteners here that's going to allow us to start taking this off. This is called a throttle plate here, this whole assembly. It's going to get pretty busy in a second. Honda has taken the time to give us some opportunity for some tools. This used to be a part number. I don't know if they sell this anymore. This 9013-ZG9-700. All it really is, we just went ahead and made these, and then we got the part number eventually. But what they are is they're studs with the heads cut off, and you'll see here in a second what this will do. It allows me, I'm going to crack all these loose because they're all going to be removed. Okay. It's basically like an alignment tool. So what you do is the other one's still snug on here, and there's a multiple series of airbox, the carburetor, the gasket, the insulator bracket. There's a whole bunch of things that are sandwiched in on this carburetor. You can't really see it yet with the airbox on there, so we'll come back to it. So Honda came up with this here, so I stick this in. And what it does is it acts as a guide and these might even be too long. I noticed this one went down a little further. This one's threading in nice. This one isn't. I don't know if it's boogered up from last person working on it, or Don't know. I got it to grab right there. But watch what I'm able to do now. So, I'm going to set these aside here. So behind here, you guys see how there's a, we're going to get a flashlight in here for you guys. You see this breather hose right here? There's a rubber hose on the back of the airbox. Yeah. When I pull it off in a second, if you can get the camera right here, you'll see the plate that it goes into.
And that's the crankcase breather, right?
Crankcase breather. So remember how we talked about how it builds pressure under the piston and it has to go somewhere? That's what it's doing, is it's breathing through that breather, back through the airbox, and then being recycled through the engine. Now here's another thing I want you guys to take note of. Do you see this wire right here for the ignition?
Yep.
Look at this little clip. That's an intended design clip. If you can get a close-up of that right here, for the wire harness to actually be pushed into to secure it. Why is it so important to secure wires?
So it doesn't lay against the block and get hot.
Okay, so for hot parts, you're exactly half right. On the rotating flywheel, would that be a bad deal if this got caught in the flywheel as it was spinning?
Yeah.
So I want you to understand, I'm going to come up to your engines, and when you tell me you're done and it's ready to go, I'm going to be looking for things like that the wire harness is secured properly. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so to take this guy off, we're going to go along our guides here. The back side of this is just a rubber hose, and now you can see where that rubber hose attached. But we're going to take a look at this in a little more detail here, and we're going to start to see a couple of different things. For fuel to be able to flow, we got to have atmospheric pressure available to allow fuel to flow through. We'll get in a lot of detail on that when we do fuel systems. But you see this little track right here?
Yeah.
You see that? Look how cool of a design this is. In one piece here, that allows air to come in there. It's going to go around the mount, and do you see how air will go to this hole?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's for the atmospheric vent so that it can get its atmospheric pressure to allow fuel to flow. Here's where this hose attaches. Now notice there was no clamp on this. It is just a friction fit. Should I look at the fish to see if it should have one?
Yeah.
I would. It'd be a good idea. Set that to the side. I'm going to kind of tip this back up, and this seems to work well here. So I've got a lot going on here, and I do not want stuff to just fall off. Do you see why the studs were so nice now?
Yeah.
It's not mandatory, but they are pretty handy. So I'm going to move forward with taking off the throttle plate assembly. Throttle control plate, I think, is another term for that. We got the center bolt here. Now on this guy, I'm going to do one more thing just to make life easy. Now that I have the airbox out of the way, it's a good time to take a couple more photos.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get in here. You can get a really good, nice close-up now. I'm going to get up here and get a really nice close-up. Because look how confusing this could get. We don't even put anything in here, according to the way this is hooked up now, right? And notice here on the throttle, okay, we've got a spring. The spring goes in one hole, the throttle return spring, or the anti-surge spring is what that's called. And then the throttle linkage. And then this here, you can see what we have going on. You see how that, when this is all tightened up, it's obviously a lot firmer, and it's going to open this plate like this. Okay? So I've got good photos of everything, so I feel like I can go ahead and move forward. So as I take this throttle plate off here, I want you to notice something about these bolts. Do you see how the threads are kind of look like they're intentionally jacked up?
Yeah.
Or it looks like somebody maybe cross-threaded it? This bolt is designed that way. We're going to be talking about these when we talk about Honda fasteners. And we'll look in the service manual, and they're going to spell this out, and they're going to call it a special name. I can't recall what it is off the top of my head, like an AGR bolt, or it's got a funky little name to it. And what that means is it's almost like a self-tapping. It's not as aggressive. Sometimes these are one-time use fasteners. I want you to have some caution on that. Okay? So I'm going to set that off to the side. Got a couple of loose bolts here. Actually, these guys can this. I'll go here for right now. Nothing loose on the table. So you can start to see how I could start to get this apart. I'm going to go ahead and take my spring off. Okay. And I have another fuel line. So I'm going to get that fuel line off first. Remember my trick with my two picks? Okay. Make sure that I'm free. Notice I did that with no effort, right? Not hurting anything. Now I'll take a look here to see what I have going on as far as this. I want to go ahead and disconnect this. I'm completely free now. Make sense? So I can just leave this loose for right now, and we're going to be able to keep moving forward. Now, if I was working on this, one thing that'd be a really good idea would be to plug this hole. If I'm going to clean the carburetor, I'm not going to be so worried about it. But let's say for some reason this got bent. Okay? So you're only replacing this part for whatever random reason. And I just want you to be able to think about this in general. Okay? If I'm not intending to service the carburetor, how easy is it for dirt or something to get down inside there? A little pebble or something. One thing that works really good to plug these are golf tees. Nice and cheap. They're a tapered wood plug. We have other different plastic and rubber plugs that you can put in here as well, but golf tees are really nice. Let me make one more recommendation though. If you're going to buy golf tees, get the unpainted ones. Get the ones that are raw wood. If you get the ones that are pink or green or yellow or whatnot that are spray painted, I've seen guys as they're sliding them in out, the little chips of paint will break off, and now you've just made it worse than when you started. Okay, so protecting our environment here. So now what we have here is they say we can take the stud out, set the special tool aside, and I can start to rotate this carburetor. Keep this with this plate. Take my spring off. And on this one here, if you rotate it 35 degrees, I think is what Honda actually calls for it, 35 degrees. Do you see how, here I'll put that back in and take it back out. When I'm flat, I'm down and hinged in. Can you see that in the video?
Yeah.
When I go, I got to pull up so that I get the low elbow up, and then I rotate it 35 degrees, and do you see how it pulls right out of there? Yeah. Here's the difference. I didn't bend anything. I didn't force anything. I didn't cause a bunch of damage. You understand the difference?
Yep.
So then here, I can go ahead. In here, I want to look at some different things that we have going on. Do you remember me talking about a deflector plate?
Yep.
Okay, so when this is in place, go ahead and get the special tool out of the way. When this is in place, look at the shape of it. Do you see how it's pointing down here at the bottom?
Right. Yeah.
So the air as it goes around there is going to be directed past the fins and down and out the motor to cool the engine. Okay?
Right.
Now there's one other thing happening. This deflector plate is pretty important for the fact that it's also trying to keep the heat away from the fuel system. If we get the heat intentional into the fuel, it expands it, and we're going to have less performance, and we're going to have some other problems. Okay, so this piece has multiple functions. The other thing I want you to notice here is we start to have those the areas to get that air in here as well. Can you see on the bottom of the carburetor how there's? Can you see that hole right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if we look at the carburetor itself and you can see the old shape of the gaskets, do you see how there's another hole here? Okay, when I flip this around, I can see that this insulator plate, what I really want to have happen on this one is to prove a point that you can put it on wrong. So these gaskets stayed on here. This is fine. So in this position, can you see how this is relieved here? So air is going to go around there, through that hole, into this track, into here to be able to get into the engine, and it'll still breathe outside too. So it's allowing two different ways to get air in there. They must want air in there pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to be important. But I want you to look at something here. So when I put, and hopefully I can get this one on, our gaskets are meant to seal out air and seal in fluids sometimes, like if we have oil or whatnot. Do you realize that you can put gaskets on backwards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody ever had this happen?
Yep.
Okay, watch this. So these are lined up, and in the proper position, do you see how I have the full square of the port? When I put this on backwards, look what happened. Is that dramatic or what?
Yeah.
Okay, now, that air and fuel, when it hits that gasket, it's like hitting a brick wall. It now has to roll over that and to try and get into the port. This right here, guys, no doubt would probably seal just fine. Look at it. I've got my whole external seal. I'm going to be able to bolt that on. My holes line up. What will the customer complain about?
You guys get
Laggy.
like performance.
Geez, I don't know, man. Something seems wrong with my mower. My power washer just doesn't seem to have the power it used to. I'm cutting grass the same way I've always cut grass, and it's just lugging more. It's just something's not right. I don't know what you did. Do you know how hard it'd be to figure out that it was the gasket put in backwards?
Pretty hard.
You're going to be doing compression tests, leak down tests. How are your numbers going to turn out?
Fine.
Probably fine. It's all because of simple details. Are you with me? So if you're going to be a Honda technician, Honda does a pretty good job in that training module you guys are going to take where they make a big deal. Do you see where the gasket's thicker on the bottom here, or wider, I should say?
Yeah.
It has this square cutout. Honda kept saying throughout the training modules that it always goes down and to the right. So that would be a characteristic of their engine, but we couldn't trust that on Yamaha or Suzuki or anyone else. That's a Honda specification. Are you with me? So when you guys take yours apart, will you do me a favor? We kind of try and flip these around and see how bad they are when they're wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's something I want you to do. The order of all this, it's going to be important, right? Okay. Okay, let's take a look at the other side here. Without any damage, this little tiny spring in there, this anti-surge spring, is what they call it. You think that's easy to damage?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not grabbing pliers on this, am I?
No.
Okay, now go ahead and take this out. And what you notice about this too is it wouldn't be very hard to put it on backwards. Okay, see how if we look at the distance between here and here, this one's longer.
Right.
Okay, so every spring that's out there, I'm trying to make a point here, is there's a real intention on the direction it goes. Now what that probably is because if you flip it around, it might rub something. Do you get the idea there? So anyway, that's a point of that governor rod and spring.